people were like, oh, he's just got to go out there and throw bombs and hope for the best. But it's not quite as simple as that. There's going to be film offers, Netflix, documentaries, everything is going to be thrown at him. As a purist, I'd rather see him fight Usyk because it's just going to be a clash of skill. I think deep down we all knew he wasn't going to knock Floyd out, but you have because he's at the level where he's got proper like freaks want to come and see him and want to pester him before. It's just something about Gaethje. You can't ever count him out. Episode 1 of the Can't listening to Australia bang. If it's weak, we ain't losing. Keep it moving like a caravan. See feds at the back door. Get doors from the trap for. Some man they wanna chat shit till I knock them ain't like I'm Jack Shaw. Rolls hat, roll stack, my flow sharp like a hacksaw. Getting off. Right, episode 3. We're back again. See, we told you we'd be regular. How was your weekend? Your stag weekend? Well, if anyone can hear, I think you can tell. Like I'm not in a good way. It'd be lucky if anyone gets past the first minute of this. I'd say I'll have to do most of the talking. Well, nothing changes there anyway. No, but, yeah. It's a good job. I've only got to ask the odd question, and you roll with it because I can't fucking say. I've done more talking this weekend than I've done in the last 2 years. I think. Hey, first things first. Bet's a bet. So Joey's currently 2-0. 2-0. And 20 quid up. So what was the first fight? I think we did the card, didn't we? And Sterling. So he beat me on the Sterling, and he also picked the round of. I think we cut off.
I think I was one off, but I think I had it close. I think you went round
so
3,
I went
didn't you?
3 or 4. You went 7, was it? Or so
7.
Bet's a bet.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
20 quid up, but we're gonna get him back. We're gonna get him back now this next week. But yeah, what were our performance from? Mate. From Fury. You should have seen it out in the pub. I don't know, where'd you watch it? Did you watch it out? No, just in the front room. In the front room. When the show first got announced, I did contemplate tickets, but some of them big boxing shows like I've been to before, they can get a little bit, because I don't think many of the boys would have been up for it because of the date it fell on. So I would have took my missus, and then I don't know if it's the type of atmosphere she would have enjoyed, to be honest, because they can get rowdy, can't they? Obviously. Tyson's crowd is mental, and Whyte's got a mental crowd as well. So, to be fair, the atmosphere, I've seen a lot of people. I've seen even Noel Gallagher was backstage. I've seen him saying that he never experienced an atmosphere like that when Fury walked out. But I loved it. I love all especially the big boxing fights. I love the the big walkouts and the big hoorah they make before the main. And I know the undercard was shit, but when you see like the Tyson coming out on a throne and you got Dillian Whyte howling like a wolf, I think it's brilliant. And to be honest, that's the one part I wish UFC and the bigger MMA shows would try and take a little bit of. You've seen little bits, some new like Stylebender, and you've seen the McGregor and Mendes fight. They had sort of singers, but I wish they make a little bit of a bigger deal for the entrances and stuff for the big fights. But yeah, back to the fight. It was Tyson Fury 101, really, wasn't it? Yeah, Whyte tried to make it a bit nasty here and there, didn't he? He was trying to get him with the elbow a little bit here and there, but I don't think he just didn't have the skill to beat him, did he? At the end of the day, no. And you credit to Whyte. I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, what was he doing? He didn't throw." But I don't think people truly appreciate until you're in front of someone like Fury who's that big. Like, not I've ever sparred or fought anyone Fury's that, but I've sparred guys, for my weight that are tall, awkward guys, and it's not as simple as just go out there. People were like, oh, he's just got to go out there and throw bombs and hope for the best. But it's not quite as simple as that with Fury. Especially at the minute, he's like adopted this Kronk style as well, where he just seems to be like one punch knocking guys out. So whereas before he was more of a slapper and a touch, just touch you for 12 rounds. It's not as simple now as throwing caution to the wind and just going. And I do see what Dillian was trying to do. He was obviously trying to work the body a little bit and come upstage then, I think, in the mid-ranges of the fight, but just couldn't get going, could he? And I don't think that's down to him not showing up. That's just down to Fury being a class above, in my opinion. I don't think that he thought he could get him out of there either like that, which he did. It was a hell of a shot. And there was a lot of talk that Whyte's sort of susceptible to the uppercuts, and you could see Fury, although he did, but you could see he was looking for it, but he didn't give it away. He wasn't constantly throwing it. You could just see the feints and the stuff he was working off the jab. Picture perfect shot, wasn't it? In terms of if that is his last fight, or he's looking like he wants to fight Francis in some sort of hybrid or whatever. But in terms of if that is his last boxing fight, what a way to go out.
Yeah, you can't go out on a bad note like that in front of all them people as well in a crowd like that, and then to do it in that sort of fashion.
And do you know what's crazy about Fury, right? Because I can remember back probably, so when I was like 18, 19, I was big into my box. I'm still big into my boxing now, but I was boxing a little bit, and people hated him. Like, no one I knew, especially in the box community, had a good word to say about Tyson Fury. Everyone was saying, you know, he's shit, he's awkward, he can't punch, he's gonna get exposed. I can remember people saying David Price was gonna be the guy to knock him out, you know, and people hated him. And I can remember people, like, because he did play the bad guy, didn't he, early on in his career? He was the trash talker, and, you know, he did do a lot of outlandish things, like the Batman suit at the weigh-in, and he did rub people up the wrong way, but, you know, he's proper turned, like, if they ever make a film on him or a documentary on him in years come, I hope they sort of show how he went from being like a really, I don't want to say unliked, but he wasn't like, you know, one of Britain's most favourite boxers to, he's become this cult hero, and he deserves to be. Like, you know, he's gone from zero to hero almost.
Mate, in that pub on Saturday night, right, there was not one person supporting Dillian Whyte.
Yeah.
Not one person.
Incredible.
Everyone in there was shouting Fury.
Well, you think as well, like, the fight was in London, and probably 5% of the crowd was probably cheering for Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte's a born and bred Londoner, so, you know, in hindsight, you would think that he would carry over a lot more support. But like, just incredible how he's such a massive fan. Like, even, I can remember him fighting Klitschko, and I think it was shown on Channel 5. I mean, it wasn't shown on Sky Sports. I don't think BT was about it, and it was like Santana or something. Remember those days? Like,
everyone was fuming that he won that fight as well.
Yeah, like no,
he went to like a points decision,
and again,
everyone was like, "Oh, it's a shit fight. He's a shit fighter."
Like, literally, no one gave a fuck that he was fighting Klitschko. No one gave him a chance. And looking back, like, that's a bigger deal than what people made of it, because the reality of that fight was, you know, Klitschko was undefeated for 10 years at the time. Obviously, he was smoking people, and Fury outclassed him. If you go and watch the fight back, it wasn't a close fight. You know, Fury outclassed him. He couldn't get near him. And you watch then 6 months later, obviously Fury had gone off the rails. Joshua fought the same Klitschko. I know Joshua TKO'd him, but he caused Joshua a lot.
Dropped Joshua.
It caused him a lot of problems. Put him down, had him hurt. I know, and, you know, credit to Joshua, he came on to win, didn't he, later on? But you look back and it's just brilliant to see how he's gone from being like this British boxer guy who no one's fussed on. You know, you had the skills to he is literally a worldwide superstar. You've got people like Francis Ngannou, who's the UFC champion, wanting to fight him. You've got the WWE, who I can guarantee are clamouring for him to come back. Especially now they're in Cardiff in the summer. There's going to be film offers, Netflix, documentaries, everything is going to be thrown at them. Even you stay in the boxing world, how much money because if he is retired like he's saying he is, it's going to take a little bit more than 100 million, I think, for him to come back to fight. They're going to have to throw a Floyd Mayweather type of purse at him, you know, a couple 100 million, or, you know, something that's really going to get him out of bed. Because, all right, when he's saying about he doesn't do it for the money, I don't know if I exactly believe that. Like, you know, obviously, if he didn't do it for the money, why is he getting paid so much in comparison to what Whyte's getting paid? Yeah. But at the same time, he's got plenty of it in the bank, isn't he? Like you said, he's got 150 mil in the bank. He owns all these houses and cars. And
if he can't get them paydays and Floyd can, there's something wrong, because he's such a bigger star than Floyd.
Oh, way bigger. Like, don't get me wrong, in his peak in America, Mayweather was the biggest bad guy in the history of boxing money in that sense. You know, not many tuned in to watch. I was a big Mayweather fan, but not many tuned in to watch him win. Every time people would tune in the hope that he gets sparked. But Fury is he started off that way, didn't he? I think he realised that, you know, the way to get people watching is to piss him off. But he's turned into this global star now, and it's like, like you said, if the heavyweight champion of the world, look at his resume. Like, all right, beat Klitschko, was reigning for 10 years, hit the drink and drugs and put on 10 stone, then comes back, loses all that, beats Deontay Wilder, even though it was a draw. You know, beat him.
Oh, he definitely won that fight.
Beat him after 6 months of being back from a massive fucking bender, and then knocks him out twice, was it? Yeah, knocked him out twice. Yeah. Then knocks out Dillian Whyte, who is probably going to, like, I think if Dillian Whyte fought Joshua maybe not Usyk, but if he fought Joshua or Wilder, I think Dillian Whyte could cause them to some serious problems. So for him to come back and do that, for him not to be able to generate a big payday to come back to, it wouldn't make any sense. But I think he obviously could. And if you got the WWE and even the UFC and Dana White and people like that chucking money at him to come back, then people like Bob Arum and Frank Warren and Eddie, and they know they're going to have to dig deep into the pocket.
I think like the fight for him to come back to actual boxing as opposed to like fighting Ngannou or whatever, it's got to be if Joshua beats Usyk, innit?
I mean, either of those two I would like to see. As a purist, I'd rather see him fight Usyk because it's just going to be a clash of skill. Don't get me wrong, Fury is a hell of a lot bigger than Usyk, so obviously size will play a massive factor. But in terms of the bigger fight, the bigger money maker, it's Joshua and Fury. It'd be the biggest British fight of all time. It could even be the biggest boxing fight of all time in terms of, and I don't mean that, you got like your Tyson and Lewis and stuff like that, and your Mayweather party. I don't mean it in terms of that, but I mean in terms of what it would gross for the sport and the payday.
And where the sport is now as well, and how many eyes can actually get on it.
Especially if Joshua can beat Usyk. But the problem with, it's going to get like, and because I remember Fury saying, didn't he said he should have let me fight Usyk. I beat Usyk, me and him can fight for the belts, because if Joshua loses to Usyk now, he's never going to fight Fury. And if Joshua beats Usyk, then I can guarantee you Usyk's not taking this fight without a rematch clause. So even if he beats Usyk, they're going to have a third fight. So I can't see why Fury's walking away to some extent. Time now, because they're not going to fight till September probably, with all this going on in Ukraine. And if Joshua wins, then you're looking at another 6 months before they do it again. And then probably another 6 months on top of that before Fury can fight. So I don't know what, I don't blame him for going off and making a bit. It could be a ploy. It could be a retirement ploy to say, look, you're going to have to pay me a lot more than what I was on to get me back. Yeah,
if he's already telling you he's willing to come back, they're not going to make him the same sorts of offers as if you say, I'm never coming back.
And I think the Francis fight and stuff like that, I think that does appeal to him. Like I seen his press conference, and he hit the nail on the head. He's an entertainer. He doesn't... All right, he's a fighter at that, but he likes to entertain people, doesn't he? He likes the big show and he likes the buzz. And imagine a fight between the heavyweight champion of the world and the UFC champion, and whatever the rules are, whether it be, I don't know what they're going to do. I would assume when they say hybrid rules, it'll be a boxing match in a cage with MMA gloves. Whether they include kicks. It may be a little bit like that Triller where you see they could, Mike Perry did it anyways. MMA gloves, they could clinch and you could throw dirt, but a stand-up fight with Tyson Fury, no matter the rules, is not gonna. If you put in kicks, it could make a difference. But in terms of just hands, whether it's in a cage and gloves and when you can clinch, it doesn't end well for anyone. I don't think.
No, I don't see Ngannou trying to roll over him. He's gonna be too afraid. Ngannou hasn't really fought anyone as big as him either, is he? He's absolutely massive.
He's massive. He's a giant. He's 6'10". And don't be wrong, Ngannou's a giant as well. But when you've been in there with someone like Deontay Wilder, with the power that he's got, I don't think that he's going to go in there and he's going to be switched on to the fact that Francis has got power, but it's not going to be anything he hasn't seen before. And boxing-wise, I love Francis, and he's the scariest man on the planet to me, without a doubt. But boxing-wise, I don't think Francis has got the boxing skill that Deontay Wilder... Well, he hasn't. That's a fair comment to make. He hasn't got the boxing skill that Wilder's got. So, yeah, it's a mad one, but I'd love to see it, because it'd be great to see... It would just it's like Godzilla versus King Kong.
You're gonna watch it, aren't you? No matter what happens, you're gonna watch it.
Of course, you're gonna watch it. And look, let's let Francis have this big payday. Like, he deserves it. He's,
how are they gonna make it though? I don't see him. I can't.
No, like the UFC's gonna have to let him go. I think I think so. He's in contract till December. I think something like that. I seen. So if they don't offer him a contract he's happy with, by then he can, I think, legally walk away, which I do see him doing. Unless the UFC come to him and say, look, we want you to stay and we'll co-promote you and Fury, like they did with McGregor and Mayweather, then... but otherwise, I just don't see how he's going to do it. He wants this fight, and he wants to box.
It's not long to wait either.
No, and Francis is knocking on a bit. I think he's late 30s, well, mid to late 30s. He's not like a 26-year-old guy who's got years and years in the sport. So why not let him go and get a big payday? And he's even said he's willing for the UFC to get in on it. He's happy for Dana and those to help him promote it, but they don't seem like they want to do that at the minute, the UFC. And
it's like they're trying to move away from all that sort of like clown show, as he calls it, like, innit? He doesn't want anything to do with that sort of thing, which I understand because there's a lot of it going on with Triller and everything at the minute. And I suppose once he did it with Mayweather and McGregor, but he's gonna keep getting his offers all the time, and every champion's gonna want to fight the boxer in their weight class.
And I do get it, right? I do get that you want to come away from the Triller stuff, like the Usman and Canelo fight. What's the point in that?
Yeah,
there is no point in it. But we're talking here like this is different. This is like McGregor and Mayweather, because McGregor was this cult superstar who at the time was untouchable, 2-division champion. Just sparked out Eddie Alvarez, who people thought was going to be a tough fight for him, made him look terrible. And then you got Mayweather, who's the undefeated superstar, 9-time world boxing champion. This is a similar scenario. Like, this is not Francis as a grappler saying, I want to fight, because Usman can box, but he's predominantly a wrestler. You know what I mean? Whereas Francis is like this knockout artist. Like, he's knocked out every win he's had, he's give or take, don't quote me on it, but he's pretty much starts to everyone he's been in there with, hasn't he? Yes. Tyson Fury is like the current best heavyweight in the world, just like how Mayweather was the current, best boxer in the world at the time. Like, I get that we don't want the freak show fights, but this is and when you're as big in it as hard as Francis, there's always there's not a chance, but there's always that chance. It was the same with McGregor. Like, I think deep down we all knew he wasn't going to knock Floyd out, but he has got that rocket to the left arm. You think, well, if he does somehow land a big shot, how do we know? Especially fair play to Tyson. He's not saying, come to a boxing ring with 10 ounces. He's like, there'll be MMA gloves and we'll work out the rest of the rules as we go.
I think that's the good thing about it, though. That is what gives you that, because he knows you need to believe that Francis could win.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't believe that at all, no one wants to see it. There's got to be that small...
Yeah, and he's very smart, Fury. He's not, he's a smart businessman. Like you said, by putting the MMA gloves on and putting it in a cage, like the average guy's going to look at that and think, they're having an MMA fight. The UFC guy's going to win this. So, like you said, there's got to be that element of 50-50-ness, or even a 60-40, 70-30. You got to believe a little bit that Francis could do it. So by putting the MMA gloves on, because it is different, I've sparred boxers in obviously boxing, and I've sparred boxers in MMA gloves, and the range is different. Obviously, you can't, not that Fury does anyway, but you can't shell up as much. You can't sort of roll and stuff like that because of the knee. So it does add that element of a surprise and the unknown. Do I think Francis can knock Fury out? No, I genuinely don't. But at the same time, who knows, they don't have the rules of, right, there's no ground game, but if you hit them to the floor, if you knock them down, you're allowed to follow up a ground and pound. Now that adds an element that you want to see. Yeah. Like, imagine Francis does catch him and he hits the floor and he can't do it, and this 8 count isn't a thing. It's like, right, you can go to the ground and use your strikes.
I'm sold on it anyway. No matter what happens, I'm going to watch it. Let it happen.
Everyone loves to watch Tyson Fury. Everyone loves to watch Francis. Just let them clash. It's literally King Kong versus Godzilla. Yeah. But real life,
That's the difference between the Usman-Canelo fight, though, is the fact Usman isn't quite the star, is he? He hasn't quite got the pull like Ngannou or Fury.
He's knocking out elite level MMA fighters, but Francis is starching guys out cold in 30 seconds, and Francis is probably, maybe behind Deontay Wilder, I don't know, but he's probably the biggest puncher on the planet. Yeah. And as good as a boxer as Usman is he going to be able to have those boxing skills in with a guy like Canelo? Probably not.
Also, I know Canelo's a massive star, but he's also not like a Fury level star either, is he? Because he's been so dominant. I think people look at him like he's going to beat the next guy.
Yes.
He's going to beat the next guy.
The thing with Canelo, he is a big star. Like, the money he generates is insane. But like you said, there's only really the Triple G fight at the minute where people are like, that could be a 50-50 hours. He's not taking easy fights, but he's just that much better than everyone. It's kind of like Mayweather towards the end of his career. Yeah. He was that much better than everyone else. You didn't think he could lose. It's the same with Canelo. And you don't look at Usman and think, this is the guy to knock him out. Whereas with Fury and Francis, the thing with Fury, he's that fucking mad. He will have a fight, he could dance around Francis for 12 rounds if he wanted, but he will, he's the only guy I know, gets knocked down by Deontay Wilder and then gets up and just sits in the pocket with him and wins the rest of the round, fighting him on the inside.
If he fights Ngannou, he's going to make it a fight, isn't he? Because he's doing the whole thing for entertainment. He's not going to go in there and dance around.
I think he loves that as well. The being knocked down and getting back up. You could see it in the Wilder fight, the third round, he gets knocked down. He's almost had a look on his face of like, here we go again.
That's why people like him though. That's his life story, innit? That's the whole thing. He got knocked down in his life, and then he come back, and that's why people love him. So
yeah, I'm sold. I'm in.
I'm sold as well.
Whenever they want to do it, however they want to do it, sign me up.
Yeah, I think that. Well, I don't see how they're not going to make it. I didn't know he wasn't. I didn't know that he's out of contract in December.
Yeah,
holding off till then. It's not like it's the end of the world. Is it?
So technically, how it works is he's got no fights left on his contract, Francis. But I think because he has the belt, I think it's something like a 9-month or 10-month extension. Then, so if you're the champion, you've got no fights left. They've got 10 months to make you an offer. But because he's got no, so say you got 1 fight left on your contract, you're kind of seeing it with Nate Diaz at the minute. Because he's got 1 fight left, if they offer him a fight and he turns down the fight, then there's a 6-month extension. Now, because Francis has no fights, but because he holds a belt, they've got 10 months to negotiate. I think it's 10 months anyway, something like that. But it's worked out well, obviously, because he's having knee surgery, so he can't fight physically because he's not cleared. So they can't offer him a fight to take. So I think by the time his knee is healed, I've seen online, the contract will be up. So either the UFC will obviously have to come to an agreement, or he's a free agent, and he ain't going to Bellator, is he? Let's be honest. He's going to fight Tyson Fury.
You know, when they're a champion, I know they get pay-per-view points, but what does that look like? Is that like $1, $2 on each pay-per-view?
Again, I wouldn't know how it works. Obviously, with my contract, because I'm not the champion, I don't get pay-per-view points, so there's no talk of that. So I wouldn't know. I would guess it's a percentage. Again, I would guess it's different for everyone. Like McGregor, I wouldn't be surprised if he has 50% of the pay-per-view. Yeah. But then people like Masvidal and Nate Diaz and Poirier, they all have pay-per-view points, even when they're not champions. Maybe they have 20% or 10%. I wouldn't know whether, or maybe they have a set fee.
Yeah. Then like a Figueiredo or whatever is probably like...
Yeah. So it's obviously, I shouldn't imagine it's the same blueprint for every champion. But like, again, it can't be, because otherwise McGregor fought Cowboy and had 80 mil for it. Now the UFC didn't give him an 80 mil purse. I think they gave him a 5 mil purse. So he's generated 75 mil somewhere. Yeah. So would probably lead you to believe he's on a very high percentage of the pay-per-view. You know, he talked before, didn't he, about he wants shares in the company, and I think that's what he meant. You know, I think he was kind of like, I want half the money that I'm earning for you. So yeah, it would. And again, I don't think a big deal like that for Francis is going to be enough for him to want to stay either. Like, why not? If I was the UFC, I would use their head and go and let him fight Fury, because that would make him an even bigger star, because there's not many purist boxing fans probably who know who Francis is. Now, you put him against Fury in Africa or in Wembley or in a big stadium in Vegas, because I know Fury wants to do it in the Raiders Stadium. So you're opening up a lot of people's eyes on your champion. So regardless of whether he wins, loses or draws, he comes back to the UFC as your champion. All them eyes are now on him, and
there's a cash cow there.
Yeah, there's another big pay-per-view star. Like, that's why McGregor was massive anyway, but the fact that he went off and fought Mayweather in a boxing fight brought so many more eyes on him, and people are like, who the fuck is this mad? I won't drop the C-bomb, but who the fuck is this? Like, you know, he's a lunatic, and that's why when he did come back to MMA, like, don't be on the bad blood and stuff helps, but when he come back to MMA, there was that Mayweather fight. For me, he went from being like a sports superstar to a celebrity after that.
He's like
fight.
Ronaldo now.
Yeah, you could, as my old man always uses this saying, like, with Ronaldo, you could pick him up and drop him in any area in the world. Same with David Beckham, and he's going to get swarmed. It's David Beckham, or it's Ronaldo. And I think McGregor is the same.
Definitely.
You could drop McGregor in the middle of Ebervale Town or Appleby Town, and straight away people go like, it's fucking Conor McGregor, swarm him. And I think a lot of that was down to the Mayweather fight as well, because Mayweather's such a big superstar worldwide. Everyone knows him.
Yeah.
So he pulled all those eyes onto him. So I just don't see how that wouldn't do the same thing for Francis.
How do you think it must be, though, being like Conor McGregor? It must fucking suck. Like, you know, like, I know it's amazing, right? He lives an amazing life, but you know, certain things like just being able to pop the shop or whatever.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it?
It's not an easy life to live. It's no going back either. You can't take it back, can you?
No, like, I've got it on a minor scale. Like, and it can get, you know, you're on a night out or you're trying to enjoy a night with your friends. Like, 'cause I go out probably fucking 10 times a year in hindsight, you know, and you're trying to enjoy a night with your friends, and there's people constantly, and you don't mind, it comes with the territory, doesn't it? But, so I think sometimes like that can get annoying sometimes, because you end up spending half the night away from your mates for that. So imagine being McGregor, where you can't even leave the house without security. You get in your car to go for a drive, you've got to have an armed escort. Or, like, imagine even I can imagine for McGregor, even driving to the gym for him is hassle. he can't drive to the gym unless there's security there, because they all know where he trains. They all know they all know SPG, and they all know his boxing club. You can guarantee it don't take a lot to work out what time of day he's going to be training, and so like he can't.
That's why he's doing
it's
his
like
camps
me,
abroad, isn't it?
I can be sat in the house, right, and think, I'll pop in the gym now and now. Well, he can't do that. He's got to let the security know. He's got to let the gym know. They've got to make sure there's no one going to stop him at the entrance. It must be like a crazy, crazy life. He can't even pop the Tesco. You know what I mean? He's got to send someone for him. So it must be, especially because he's known a life before it. Like he wasn't born, like, you know, like the Royals then, or the Kardashians and some of them, the youngsters, they've been born into that. Like that's their life. Yeah. McGregor's known a normal life for 23 years where he can just go out here, there and everywhere and kind of do as he pleases, whereas now he can't do that. So it's got to be tough to adapt to, like, you know, especially that level of fame.
I wonder though, if you look, I know it's probably worse at some points, but you know, like locally where he lives, like for you, for instance, in Abertillery, you're probably never going to get that same level of like swarming as if you went to Cardiff, is it?
No, of course.
So you probably, like, no matter what sort of star you are in Abertillery, you probably could live a sort of normal life, couldn't you? And I expect he can, maybe in the town he grew up in, because everyone knew him from before. Possibly,
but then you've also got to consider, like, he's probably got a big mansion, so I can't imagine he's knocked this big mansion up in, you know, because, and the problem is you have because he's at the level where he's got proper, like, freaks want to come and see him and want to pester him for photos. No way they're not hanging about his town waiting just at a chance that he's going to see him. Do you know what I mean? So it's a tough one. Like, it's got to work in way. You'd see videos of him smashing phones and, you know, grabbing people's phones in front. And it's got to
see why though, can't you? You lose your mind when you.
And look at the Mike Tyson incident the other day on the plane. Some people want to get a reaction out of it. Like, how the fuck has Mike Tyson had to beat a guy up on the plane? 50-year-old Mike Tyson, probably stoned, just on a flight. How was he had to assault someone on a plane? Like, there's no way that guy was being decent. And
I've seen a couple of videos of him. He's been a bellend.
And I see people defending him on Twitter. Like, I've had a couple of people fucking tweet me a lot of bollocks. Like, oh, yeah, well, who's the bigger idiot? Because now he's going to have to pay him out. He's not going to have to pay him out. He's not going to have to pay him out because there's video of the guy enticing him before. And then Mike have come out and said, oh, he threw a water bottle at me and he said this. You don't think Tyson's got a good legal team? Like, I don't know if any of you
there as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if any of you are watching this. Like, but you don't think Tyson's got a good legal team who's gonna like come up with a good backstory as to why this guy got assaulted? Like, Mike Tyson's not gonna pay this guy millions and millions to not press a case, because he'll probably say, yeah, go on, take it to court, and then the court will see the video before and it's gone viral and had hundreds of millions of views and be like, well, you enticed him.
And like, he is an old. I know he's Mike Tyson. But like you say, he's in his 50s now.
He's 50s, he's stoned constantly. Yeah. If he had to jump up out of his seat and give him a slap, you'd be in a dick. He didn't
look like, I know he was digging him, but he wasn't like...
He weren't battering him, was he?
He was just trying to get him to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, he weren't battering him. I mean, like, again, like you said,
he could have killed that bloke.
He's 50, but he is Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
You know, he could have quite easily done... The guy would have been a lot worse off, but yeah, don't be a dick. You know,
that's it. He's a normal person. Well, I say he's a normal person, but he's probably would have like had a photo of you, been tidy with you.
You're on a plane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like he's going to have a photo of everyone. He's going to be like, there's Mike Tyson. Like, everyone on the plane is aware that Mike Tyson's on the plane. Be a decent, you know, be nice. Just be like, I'm sure if he went up and said, would you mind if I grabbed a quick picture? There wouldn't have been an issue. But obviously the guy's pissed up looking for a reaction, being a clown. So, in my opinion,
he got what he deserved.
He got what he deserved, yeah. If he had done that, your average person, he would have deserved a slap, let alone Mike Tyson.
Just a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Somnium Apparel. Established in 2019, they're an independent clothing brand, prioritising high quality, affordable clothing, but most of all, they're inspiring you to live out your dream. So if there's something that resonates with you, head over to somniumapparel.co.uk.
And use code SHORE30 to get 30% off at checkout.
When I was out on the weekend, I come across one of my mates in the street after a couple of hours, and he'd had a slap off someone. He had a bleeding mouth, he had blood all over his turf, and I said to him, what the fuck's happened? He said, to be honest with you, I probably deserved it. So, like, you just got to, hopefully that guy's taking it like that.
Yeah, look, we all know, don't we, let's be honest, we've all been there, you look back and think, oh, I was being a bit of a dick then, like, and hopefully the guy, like you said, looks back, realises, look, that was a stupid idea, and issues some sort of apology and leaves it at that. But I have seen that the guy's not pressing charges, so, you know, maybe...
He's got a great story to tell, hasn't he?
Yeah,
anyway.
maybe he's so... I don't even know. Maybe he might be famous or something. I don't know. Maybe he sobered up, because he was obviously pissed.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe he sobered up and thought, yeah, look, I kind of did cross the line there and I was warranted. Perhaps Perhaps he just wanted a story to tell.
But he could. That's what I'm saying. Like, I know people like that who would do that just for the crack.
Yeah, look, Mike Tyson filled me in. Like, how many people can say they've been filled in by Mike Tyson? Is a very small percentage of people. So yeah,
I couldn't believe it when I was watching it though. You could see seen a couple of different videos, but the guy he knew what he was doing.
I knew.
He knew what he was doing.
He knew. He was singing, wasn't he, and being a clown. Like you said, where's the security? Like,
yeah, someone should have stepped in before.
Of course
that
he should have.
All his mates, like, fucking hell, what were they doing?
Yeah, like his mates filming him. Like, if I was me and it was one of the boys, I'd be like, fucking sit down, get from him now before you have a slap. Like,
yeah.
You know, like, I would want my friends to do the same to me. If I was pestering someone that bad where they think, like, he's going to end up getting filled in by you, why not, like, you think you would go and grab me, like, can you just leave him alone because you're going to get us both in a bit of bother? Because I don't know if Mike was with anyone or whatever, but, you know, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for Mike to have a bit of an entourage with him or a bit of security with him. You know, it could have escalated a lot worse than what it did. Thankfully, I think it looked as if everyone was trying to break it up and calm it down. But, you know, you've seen it before. Like, remember Jake Paul took Mayweather's hat?
Yeah.
You know, Mayweather's always 20 people deep, and by the looks, and again, Jake Paul's done it for the views. He knows exactly what he's doing, but he ended up having a bit of an hammering, I think.
That was pretty rough.
By
well,
like 10, 15.
That went out of control.
By like 10, 15 big, nasty guys. Like, so who's to say, like, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for Mike Tyson to have that type of entourage with him. I don't know. I just don't know what goes through people's heads sometimes.
Braver people than me, anyway. That's for sure. I don't think I'd be doing that.
I don't think they're fucking brave. I think they're stupid. They're not brave.
Stupid, yeah.
Stay off the drink. He was doing the drugs.
You did remind me of my mate, though, to be honest. So I can't really say too much, but yeah.
So what's coming up? We got, it's not this weekend, is it next weekend?
I think it's next weekend.
We got Gaethje and
Oliveira. Yeah, that'll be a hell of a scrap. Like.
I've been watching some of Gaethje's video vlogs kind of thing on his YouTube, and he looks in wicked shape. He's putting in. I mean, I'm no doubt fucking Charles is doing the same. But what a really interesting fight, I think, because Gaethje's just so violent. Isn't he? He's just so violent, and Charles he's proved his last two fights that the days where he would take a good shot and roll over, they're gone. Like, you've seen it against Chandeler, he got hurt early, he comes back and wins. Seen it against Poirier, he got hurt multiple times early, he comes back and wins. So I can't say that Gaethje's going to come out, crack him, and that's going to be the end of it. But it's going to be a violent fight, I think, because Charles can crack as well. He's a good level striker, sick level grappler. The best jiu-jitsu guy in the UFC at the minute. So, yeah, what a fight. And titles on the line as well.
Yeah. Who are you going for? Who do you think's going to take it?
I don't know.
It's head and heart with this one, isn't it?
Yeah, I really am on the... I'd love to... I can't say I'd love to see Gaethje do it, because I am a massive fan of Oliveira as well. I think he's like the real... he's a little bit of an underdog story. Like, I think his first 18 fights in the UFC, he was like 10-8, and then all of a sudden now he's done like 13 or 14 in a row. Obviously won the belt, beat all the best guys, and I think skill-wise he's the best in the division. He's got it all. His stand-up, he doesn't waste any movement on the feet. He's so technical, and his grappling, obviously, if he gets you to the floor. He double-legged Michael Chandler. Like, people don't really talk about his wrestling enough, but Michael Chandler rocked him, and he double-legged Michael Chandler and took his back. Like, to be able to hit a double-leg on Michael Chandler takes him doing. But it's just something about Gaethje. You can't ever count him out. I just think...
You feel like this is one of the... Like, it's winnable for him, innit?
Yeah, of course.
Like, Khabib... Well, I thought like he was...
No, I know what you're saying, yeah.
It's different, it's totally different.
Whenever anyone fought Khabib, probably minus McGregor, I think everyone sort of thought, you know, it's going one way, but it's a winnable fight because Charles will strike, you know, Charles is hittable, and Gaethje does pack one punch power. There's been instances where he clips them and you know, they're out cold. But I think I am going to go with Charles. Not that Gaethje can't wrestle or grapple, but you did see against Khabib, he looked a little bit, when he was on his back, because his wrestling's so good, I don't think he's used to being on his back, and Khabib sort of exposed him a little bit on the floor with the submission. Not there's any shame in that because it's Khabib, but... I
think, like you say, if it does go to the floor, I don't see Gaethje taking the win, but I'm gonna have to pick Gaethje on this one.
You're gonna go Gaethje, right? So we don't need to do no rounds, no methods.
No, I think it's just a straight up win on this one.
You go you go Gaethje. I'm gonna go Charles. Bonus point for the method. I'm gonna go submission.
Yeah, I'm gonna go like knockout.
You gotta go knockout.
Gotta go knockout. He's not gonna beat him any other way, is he?
What else is on the card? Is that what other fights?
Ferguson Chandler's fighting, aren't they?
That's an interesting one as well.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people look at it like Ferguson's on the slide, isn't he?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like Chandler, like hasn't really.
No, there's pressure on there's pressure on Chandler as well. Definitely. It's a good point actually, because look, every fight he's had in the UFC has been a fucking barn burner. I mean, you know, he sparks Dan Hooker out in a round. He has a barn burner with Charles. You know, he fought for the title in his second fight in the UFC, and then
he almost won.
Very, very, very probably closer to putting him away than Poirier was.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Poirier hurt him, but you know, when Chandler put him down, you sort of thought, this is it. You know, he's going to take him out.
So well.
Who did he fight in his last fight, Chandler? Oh, Gaethje.
Gaethje, yeah.
And again, another barn burner, but you know, you look at the bigger picture. He is, was he 1-2 in the UFC? So if he loses this, he's 1-3. Where does he? Yeah. He's at a bit of a crossroads, and I don't think they're going to cut him because of the level of opposition he's fought it. But he's fought it. That's not even a word. He's fought. Sorry.
Who's hung over here?
the level of opposition he's fought. But another bit of pressure is, like you said, people are looking at Ferguson as if he's on the decline. A lot of people are calling for him to retire. So if Chandler doesn't beat him and doesn't beat him in good fashion,
I think
or even if he beats him, but it's a close fight, you know, it doesn't. I don't know. It's a bit of a crossroads. On paper, Chandler should, based on current form as well, Chandler should cruise through him. But you can't ever count out Tony Ferguson, in my opinion. He's a madman, and he could just turn up. He could just turn up like a fucking lunatic, like we've seen him do before, spinning and dancing and elbowing. And I wish it was a 5-rounder. Every time Ferguson fights, I wish it was a 5-rounder. But yeah, it's like, because was Ferguson on a 3-fight losing streak?
Yeah,
I think it was Gaethje, Charles, and Dariush, and he's on a 3-fight losing streak. But Chandler's on a 2-fight losing. And again, if you, in hindsight, people are calling for Ferguson to retire and he's past it. But look at the opposition. You know,
they've lost to the same people though.
Gaethje and Charles were both fighting in the main event for title. And again, the same people. All right, Dariush is a legit top 5 or top 3 up and come. I think if Dariush is likely going to have the winner of this, I would. Oh no, he's going to fight Islam, isn't he, Dariush? Yeah, but the fact that he's in line to fight Islam, that's a number 1 contender fight. So yes, it's an interesting one. Not one I'd. Like you say, if you go with your head, you should pick Chandler probably by finish, but the die-hard hardcore.
Yeah, I'd love to see Ferguson.
Would love to see even just make a fight of it, because like, let's be honest, his last 3 fights he hasn't got going at all. He hasn't really had any offense. You know, he's probably lost, what was it, 3-6, probably lost 11 rounds. Gaethje finished him, didn't he? But he was losing every round when he, so he's probably lost 11 rounds straight.
Yeah.
So even if you just see him have a little bit of success, but he could well do it, because Chandler is a fighter. Like, Chandler's not going to come out and play you notice the last. All right, Gaethje stuck it on him, but he fought to a game plan. Charles took him down, fought the game plan. Dariush did very similar. Chandler's just going to come and fight him, and because that's how Chandler is, and that's why he's so exciting to watch. He's not gonna come to point score. He's going to come to try and knock his block off, and I think that's when Ferguson fights best, in my opinion. Anyway,
with that Gaethje fight, that was one of the first fights with no crowds. Like one of the first.
It was the first one, I think. Yeah,
and hearing the shots made it completely different, didn't it? The first time I've ever heard it with no crowd, and I was like, "Fuck it." To
be honest, it was tough to watch. It was tough to, especially like the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, because he couldn't get anything going, and like you said, with the no crowd, you could. But I think that played into Gaethje's favour as well, because you see, against Chandler, there was a lot of times Gaethje probably could have got him out there. There'd been no crowd. If he had a bit reserved himself, but he loves a firefight, doesn't he? And I think he used the crowd fire up Gaethje. But that's why he's a multi-millionaire, and
that's why he's going to take it.
Yeah, made it. Don't count out the Brazilian. I'm telling you.
I guess he's staying this side of the wall.
Yeah,
right?
keep it there. Keep it there. Any other fights on the card?
I'm not sure on that card, to be honest with you. No, I haven't.
Let me pull it up because it's a pay-per-view card, isn't it? So usually there's
usually the top three are going to be big names on the bill, aren't they?
What is it? UFC what?
274 is it?
274.
Was it 273 the other week?
Yeah, 274. Let's have a look at the card. Joe hasn't given me the Wi-Fi yet, so you have to bear with me.
Joe hasn't even got Wi-Fi yet.
He's scrounging on the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Rose and Esparza.
Are they fighting on that card? Are they? I thought that was later in the month, but
is it? I didn't know that was on there. I'm not sure on that one. I think that might be wrong, or I might be right, but we won't go for that because I don't know if that's definitely. You've got Shogun is rematching OSP as well. That's a good scrap. Shogun's been on pretty decent form at the minute. I think he's on a bit of a win streak, and OSP hasn't looked great. I know he did have a little move up to heavyweight. I think OSP knocked him out in the last fight, didn't he? So be interesting. And also Cowboy's fighting Joe Lauzon, Battle of the Legends.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Pretty much.
Cowboy needs, really, isn't it?
Pretty much a possible retirement fight for both of them, win or lose. I say that's what people are labeling it as online. The pair of them just love the fight, don't they? So neither of them will probably retire regardless. But that's a great fight as well. Cowboy, you still see it, don't you, in phases. Like he may pick up a couple of losses, but then he has a fight and he looks back to the Cowboy of old. And Joe Lauzon, you just can't ever count out Joe Lauzon, can you? It's
a shame for Cowboy because he just never, it's always the big moments, isn't it? He seems to just never be able to put it together.
Yeah. One of my favourite Cowboy moments was when he fought Hernandez, that young kid.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
And the guy was just fucking talking shit all week.
He thought he was going to be the next McGregor.
And you don't get it. It's like you're fighting a legend. Like, you've got a big chance here to propel yourself, but show a little bit of respect. You know what I mean? Don't try and be McGregor. It was cringe as fuck. And Cowboy head kicked him, I think. Then he head kicked him, put him on skates, and put that one to bed. And it's typical Cowboy. It's like just when you think the UFC have put him in there to lose for an up and comer to sort of pick up a big win on the back of him, he pulls something like that off. So yeah, that's a good one to watch as well.
I think that's what Cowboy missed about the whole McGregor thing, though, really, is the fact that McGregor didn't talk any shit to him.
No, yeah, he didn't.
I think he needed that to fire him up. He went in there all respectful. It just didn't work out, did it?
Isn't it funny how it works? Like, people are so accustomed to McGregor, like, it was like, again, with the second Poirier fight, people really, like, and they could be right, the fact that he didn't talk trash, they felt like that played into Poirier's hands. And it's funny how it works, because ultimately, when you're in there, it is skill versus skill, but it's not, because the trash talk like that can play Alweir. It's like Aldo and McGregor. They're a lot closer skill-wise than a 13-second knockout would sort of make you think. But the trash talk had Aldo so head up and so sort of angry and nervous that he just wanted to kill him. And they play. It's just funny how it can be such a big weapon if you do it right, for especially people like McGregor who is the master of it. He is like a Muhammad Ali kind of thing, and he knows what to say, when to say it, what's going to get the crowd pop. And again, you see it backfire sometimes. Sort of like when he fought Nate Diaz, you could just see the trash talk was never going to. When you've grown up on the street like that, and you're used to fighting all your life and talking like that, it didn't pay off. It didn't have an effect. But then again, against Poirier the first time years ago, he crumbled him. He had Poirier so angry.
Stress on your system, though, and stress causes like inflammation, doesn't it? And I don't care if it's like physical stress or mental stress. No matter what it is, it's gonna mess you up. Whereas Nate probably, like you say, he thrives off that. He probably enjoyed it, didn't he?
Well, look, Nate is a street fighter, and the Diaz brothers, they're notorious for street fighting. And when you sort of grow up, you and your brother fighting every weekend on the street with men, or fighting in the gym. You've seen there's videos of him having Valley Tudor fights in gyms, like organised. When you've grown up doing that for 20 years, trash talk is, Nate and Nick, they're sort of like guys who you can just tell they need to be angry and pissed off to fight you, kind of thing. And it probably played in his favour in hindsight.
Yeah, definitely. Do you see that video of Nate where he fainted at someone with the beers?
Brilliant.
Have you ever seen that
Brilliant.
video?
Best.
That was fucking class.
So I think the backstory was he's something to do with AJ McKee, the guy who flinched. And I think they had a bit of a run-in with Nate and his crew at the weigh-ins and whatever. And I think he's walking up there and he sees him and it's on sight of him in there every time. You know what you're gonna get. It's like if you're sort of in a bit of a beef with him, you gotta be ready to have a fight.
That guy got covered in booze.
He fucking threw his drinks up. Classic Nate Diaz. You seen it, and you can just see like where like you watch the backstage stuff. The stuff I don't know if you've seen it. He has a run-in with Brendan Schaub at the McGregor fight, and he like wants to fight Brendan Schaub, and every time he sees McGregor, I think in person, they're gonna have a fight.
Doesn't matter who.
No, he's one of them. He is a menace, isn't he? But that's what makes him so lovable. He don't pretend not to be a bit of a street thug.
No, that cracked me up. That one is like just one of them classic moments, isn't it? Like the water bottles as well.
There's actually a view, like most people probably haven't seen it. If you go on Nate's YouTube page, there's a view. Obviously, his camera guy's with him.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
So there's a view like on because the view everyone sees it up in the crowd, and there's a view like obviously of Nate's camera guy filming it. So I don't know if it was premeditated or what, but you can just. I don't think it was. You can see he's sort of like waving to the fans, and then he just clocks this guy, and he fucking flinches him up. Brilliant, fucking brilliant.
That's what you want to see, innit? Anyway, wrap it up, is it?
Yeah, we'll wrap it up there. So I don't know if we'll get another one out before the fight. Maybe we'll try not to, so we can have the big bet off.
I think
see if the money's coming back to Team Tank. But yeah, 2-0 to Joe at the minute. 2-0 and £20 down. No sponsors yet. If anyone does want to sponsor, your logo will go below the banner there. Get in touch with me or Joe, and we can give you a little breakdown on the prices. But yeah, keep tuned. We are going to start getting guests on, so if anyone got any recommendations or suggestions of people who want, obviously don't be saying like McGregor and fucking Tyson Fury, because it's just not doable. But or anything you want us to discuss, any topics you want us to run over, let us know in the comments. And thank you everyone for watching again. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Joe, you got anything? For the people?
That's it, mate. I think, yeah, just let us know what you want to see as well. And it's as much for you as it is for us. You're the ones watching. So,
yeah,
just let us know. Get in touch. And, yeah, thanks again.
Until next time.
Yeah, nice one. Cheers, mate.
Just a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Somnium Apparel. Established in 2019, they're an independent clothing brand, prioritising high quality, affordable clothing, but most of all, they're inspiring you to live out your dream. So if there's something that resonates with you, head over to somniumapparel.co.uk.
And use code SHAW30 to get 30% off at checkout.
Wanna play my piece like listening to a Strally bang. If it's beef we ain't losing, keep it moving like a caravan. See fair to at the back door, get go, that's what we trap for. Some man they wanna chat shit till I knock them ain't like I'm Jack Shaw. Rolls hat, rolls back, my flow sharp like a hacksaw.